Good morning. Rob Bonta, California Attorney General. Thank you for joining me today. As the reality of a second Trump administration takes hold, I know there is a lot of fear and anxiety, frustration and sadness, and I understand. Those feelings are natural and understandable. I'm here today to reassure you that in California, progress will prevail. No matter who is in the White House, no matter who controls Congress, in California, we will keep moving forward. In California, we will choose calm over chaos, fact over fiction, belonging over blame, unity over division, and us and we over I and me. It's why we're the fifth largest economy in the world, not in spite of our commitment to workers, consumers, and the environment, but because of it. Because we're the largest and most diverse state in the nation. Because we believe in the power of inclusivity. Because we believe in truth over lies, hope over hate, light over dark. Because we believe in looking forward. It's who we are in the Golden State. It's in our DNA. Nothing and no one can change that. As Attorney General, I will continue to use the full force of the law, the full authority of my office to address injustice. To stand up for all people, especially those who have been long overlooked and undervalued. To safeguard reproductive rights. To advocate for more housing, especially more affordable housing for lower and middle income families just trying to get by. I'll continue to take on greedy corporate giants and fight for more affordable gas and groceries and everything in between. I'll continue to defend our world-renowned natural resources and protect them for generations to come. Continue to fight for clean water to drink and clean air to breathe. Continue to crack down on illicit guns on our streets and get fentanyl out of our neighborhoods. Continue to fight for workers. I'll continue to protect, defend, and serve every single Californian, no matter your politics. I'm here to ensure every person, no matter how they look, how much money they make, where they're from, who they love, how they identify, or how they pray, can pursue their version of the California dream. A fair wage and good benefits. A safe and affordable place to live. Affordable and accessible health care. Good schools for our children. Safe neighborhoods to raise our families. That's my promise to you, no matter who is in the White House. We've been here before. We lived through Trump 1.0. We know what he's capable of. We know what plans he has in store. The silver lining is just that. We know. We know to take Trump at his word when he says he'll roll back environmental protections, go after our immigrant and LGBTQ plus communities, attack our civil rights, and restrict access to essential reproductive care. Which means we won't be flat-footed come January. You can be sure that as California Attorney General, if Trump attacks your rights, I'll be there. If Trump comes after your freedoms, I'll be there. If Trump jeopardizes your safety and your well-being, I'll be there. California DOJ did it before, and we will do it again. During the last Trump administration, California DOJ fought to stop illegal rollbacks and proposals that would have harmed the well-being, the health, the safety, and civil rights of our people and people across the country. That would have caused irrevocable damage to our environment. No matter who is in charge of the federal government, no matter what the incoming administration has in store, California will remain the steadfast beacon of hope and progress it has always been. A constant, unwavering, immovable force to be reckoned with. We'll continue to be a check on overreach and push back on abuse of power. Be the antidote to dangerous, extremist, hateful vitriol. Be the blueprint of progress for the nation to look to. Remember, in moments of chaos in D.C., you can always look to California for calm resolve. California leaders across the state are ready to stand arm in arm. Governor Newsom and every single constitutional officer, Senator Padilla and Senator-elect Schiff, Democratic members of Congress, Pro Tem McGuire, Speaker Rivas, the California legislature, mayors, supervisors, city council members from San Francisco to San Diego are ready to fight for our California values, for our people, for our environment, for progress, for justice. And, as necessary, we're ready to take on the challenges of a second Trump administration together. While a great deal of change is on the horizon, California's path to progress remains full steam ahead. It may not always be linear. Progress so rarely is. It zigs and it zags. Takes frustrating detours, inches forward and backward and then forward again. The detours and setbacks don't define our progress. Our commitment to forward momentum defines our progress, defines us. It's what we do next that will define us. If you're feeling despondent today, remember, you are not alone. In California, we're not looking back. We're not moving back. We are California. We'll meet any challenges head on and rise to the occasion. As is so often said, as California goes, so goes the nation. In the days and months and years to come, all eyes will look west to us. And in California, they'll see we are still moving forward. Thank you, and happy to take any questions you might have.
General, have you spoken to any of your counterparts in other blue states, and is there draft litigation you can speak to that your office is already prepared?
Yes and yes. We've been talking for months with attorneys general throughout the nation, preparing, planning, strategizing for the possibility of this day. Of course, planning and preparing for it not to happen, but knowing that it could. And so we are ready. We are prepared. We have thought through all of the possibilities of the attacks on our values, our people, our state. And we expect certain litigation to come, or certain actions to come from the federal government, and certain litigation that we will take in response. So there's a lot of different scenarios on a lot of different topics, from immigration to environment, to civil rights, to gun safety, to our immigrants. The list goes on. But we are ready. We are prepared. The people of this state deserve a prepared California Department of Justice, a prepared team of attorneys general across the country. Again, as I said, we've been through this before. We're ready to do it again. There are many, unfortunately, articulated plans by Mr. Trump that harm our people, our state, our values. The full frontal attacks on reproductive freedom, the full frontal attacks on our immigrants, the full frontal attacks on our environment, on our civil rights, on the rule of law, on democracy. They are all fundamental to who we are as a democratic United States. And they all keep me up at night. And I'm worried about every one of them. There are people in the state who care deeply about each one of them. And I will always make the people's fights my fights and stand by them, whatever the attacks are that come. So there is not one in particular that stands above the rest. There are many that are potentially devastating, harmful, and exactly counter to our values in California.
Bonta, there's concern about mass deportation, the possibility of mass deportation. How is California, how's your office?
So we're well aware of the articulated action regarding mass deportations. We've been in conversation with attorneys general across the nation. We've been in conversation with advocates, immigrants' rights groups. We have reviewed the protections that we have in place. Remember, we did this before between 16 and 20. There were attacks on sanctuary jurisdictions and cities. There were attacks on California when it passed the California Values Act. We have put in place many protections for our immigrants, and we are dusting off those important laws to make sure that we reinforce them, make them more robust, and that we are ready for these articulated plans. And so preparation is the best antidote, and we have long been preparing for this moment. I don't think there's anything that the Trump administration won't try in pursuit of its ends and goals, so we have to be prepared for anything. That's why we exist, to make sure that the steps they do take and they choose are lawful, are within their granted jurisdiction and power as an executive branch. Mr. Trump repeatedly overstepped his authority between 2016 and 2020. There's no reason to think he won't do it again. We checked him and we stopped him and we pushed him back into his box when he tried to step out of it. And that's what the law is for. That's what AGs do. We enforce the law when people abuse their power and abuse the law and violate the law, and we will do it again. So whatever he tries to do, we will ensure, we will be watching and monitoring and make sure that it is lawful and it doesn't violate any state or federal statutes or constitutions.
Reporters, please just raise their hand and we will try and get to everyone's questions.
Do you want to?
Ashley, why don't you go?
Those were in years when California was enjoying pretty healthy budgets. But right now, there are limited resources. The state has a lot of needs. So, I mean, how much money does your office specifically need as the legislature now looks to potentially appropriate for this goal?
Thank you. I'll first say, whatever the financial situation, when we have full frontal assaults on who we are, what we stand for, our people, our resources, we will fight back. We will punch back. We will push back. Period. Full stop. End of story. We will not say we're in a different financial situation, so we're not going to fight. Those words will never cross my lips. We will fight, and we will push back, and we will find a way. We will rise to the occasion. We will meet the moment. We are in discussions now. The governor has called a special session now to discuss exactly what you're talking about. The resources that will be needed to prepare for the Trump administration, make sure that we're able to fully fund our forward progress, as I discussed today, and be prepared for any attacks that might come so that we can effectively push back and fight back. Timing of this comes right after the election of the President of the United States, in which Mr. Trump has been elected again. And, by the way, California did not vote for him. Nearly 6 million votes for Kamala Harris, 2 million more than those for Trump. We rejected Trump here in California. That is consistent with who we are and our values. I am here today because Mr. Trump was elected. He poses a threat to our forward progress and our people, our values, our natural resources in our state. And I am reassuring the people of California that we are here to fight, to punch back, to push back against any attacks that might come and help ensure our forward progress. Yes. Protecting our children from the mental health harms of our social media platforms has been a top priority for me. As you know, I'm involved in litigation against TikTok. I'm involved in litigation against Meta. We are in the midst of finalizing a bill to answer the call from our U.S. Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy, asking that we put a social media warning label on our social media platforms that says something to the effect of social media is associated with significant harm to the mental health of adolescents. So we're preparing that now. We think that people should know about the potential for mental health harms as they make an informed decision, parents and children, all consumers. And so this is another addition and companion to the work we've already done helping ensure that our children are safe when on social media.
Sir, as a follow-up to Ashley's question, different than 2016, there are a handful of California counties that flipped to Donald Trump in this year's election. What do you say to voters there who say that this is stifling them? And what do you say to Republican lawmakers who call it a political stunt?
I say look at the votes. Again, 6 million nearly, not for Trump. 2 million more than those for Trump. We are deep blue here in California. And we rejected time and time again the Trump agenda. We reject mass deportations. We reject restrictions on access to safe and legal abortion. We reject attacks on the rights of our African American community and Latino community and communities of color and LGBTQ plus community. We reject the attempts to stifle our progress when it comes to the strongest climate action in the nation and the world. So I know there's a lot of narrative and spin and script that people are reading from about the elections, go back and look at the votes and look what we said about Trump. We rejected him. We rejected his values. We rejected his agenda. Period. Full stop.
So if Trump follows through with these promises of mass deportation, just walk me through what you would do as Attorney General. What can the state do to stop that?
So part of our preparation is not to signal it to the Trump administration. We have been preparing on all the issues we've discussed. Look at Project 2025. We have. And that shows the different acts that Mr. Trump might take. And we have prepared for every one of them. We've prepared in detail with litigation strategy. We have a legislative strategy. We have thought in detail about where and when we sue, on what grounds. And we're working with our partners across the state. The most important thing to know is we're ready, and we have thought it through, and we've been thinking it through and planning and strategizing for months.
Attorney General, California's Clean Air Act waiver was revoked under the last Trump administration, as you know. That's likely to be attempted again with a lot more at stake with all of California's emissions goals on the line. Could you just talk a little bit about what plans you have to protect that waiver, what legal strategies exist for you?
That one, of course, is on our radar as well. Something that we saw before, we expect to see again. California leads. We're out in front. We do more, are more aggressive when it comes to climate action than other states and then the federal government. We have gotten waivers to be able to do that, and many other states have followed our lead. We expect to be able to do that again. We want to do that again, and we expect pushback from the Trump administration. So we'll see what he does and how he does it, and we will push back legally. In the past, there have been, he has overreached the Administrative Procedures Act, reached outside his jurisdiction through executive orders, and we've checked him and put him back in his box where he belongs within his existing jurisdiction, not the jurisdiction he wishes he had but does not have.
There is a report that your department will ask for an additional $100 million. Can you confirm that through the special session?
I'm not aware of that report.
Or are you going to be asking for $100 million?
I'm not aware of that either. We will be asking for sufficient resources to fight back against the attacks that we expect from the Trump administration. That's what the special session is about. It will all happen in public, in committees and in hearing rooms and with public votes. We will talk about the resources that we need and why we need it, what we intend to do with it, how we will use the cherished and valuable public funds of the state of California to protect our values and ensure our progress. And we'll have that discussion in the legislature, and the governor will decide what they believe is an appropriate increase in our budget, if any at all. I can promise to the undocumented immigrant community in California that I and my team have been thinking about you for months and the harm that might come from a Trump administration 2.0. We have planned for you. We have prepared for you. We have put in place steps to take and when to take them. And we will do everything in our power and use the full authority of the office to defend you, to protect you. We see you, we value you, we will fight for you. And we expect the Trump administration to go after them. It's what he did before. It's what he said he would do it again. So I'm not going to promise that the Trump administration won't go after them. I think that they must be prepared for the Trump administration to go after them. What I will promise is that we will fight for you and do everything in our power to protect you, and that we've been planning for that for months.
A.G. Bonta, looking at California's economy, we've seen Elon Musk and David Sachs publicly support Trump. And we've seen Mark Zuckerberg and Tim Cook congratulate him. Do you think it's possible that these people are seeing benefits for California's economy, for the growth of our business engine that you're not talking about?
I don't know what they see. And everyone makes their own political choices. Sometimes people make political choices that are not consistent with their own self-benefit. It's emotional. It's ideological. It doesn't always line up with their economic interest or their self-interest. You have to ask them why they decided, for Elon Musk to support Mr. Trump. I'm not in his head and don't want to be. You can, congratulating Mr. Trump. He's the president. We are the party that supports the peaceful transfer of power. We're the party that respects the will of the voters, even if it's not what we wanted and hoped for. We fought for something different, and so it is appropriate to acknowledge that Mr. Trump is the next president of the United States. And if you want to congratulate him because his success is America's success, so be it. I don't think there is any revelation in those congratulations about the economic strength of California or the impact on them. I will remind you, California is the 5th largest economy in the world. There's the United States, there's 3 other countries, and then there is us. And we're not receding in those rankings. We are advancing. We will be the 4th largest economy in the world. So you can tell me what that reveals about the strength of our economy and our businesses and the incredible workers that drive those businesses here in California. The military, the National Guard, the state police, and what? Not the state police. That violates state law. So, and the military is not appropriately used for mass deportations either. Does that mean he won't try? It doesn't mean he won't try. His brand is to do unlawful things, to do things that he wants to do, regardless of what the law says he is able to do. So what he's able to do is different than what he'll try. That's why we exist, to stop him from doing the unlawful things that he wants to do when they're unlawful, and to hold him in check in court so that he can't do that. But I think there's nothing he might not try. We need to be prepared for everything and ready to stop him from doing the things that are unlawful.
Yeah, of the 100+ lawsuits that were filed during the last Trump administration at your office or the AG's office filed, do you know how many, do you have a count of how many were successful? Was it a majority? Do you think it could be easier this time around potentially because of the federal judges filing?
It was over 100 lawsuits. The super majority of them were successful. Not everyone, but nearly everyone. And that's consistent with what we do in the California Department of Justice. We bring cases when we believe we'll win. When we've done the due diligence, the preparation, the research, the planning, the factual development, and the legal analysis to win. And we will do that again here. Our success will depend, what we do will depend on what he does. If he doesn't do a single thing that's unlawful, there won't be a single lawsuit. I very much doubt that, based on what he said he plans to do, what Project 2025 says. So we believe he'll be taking unlawful actions and that we will find appropriate relief and remedies in court where we always have. We don't mind who appointed a judge if we have what all judges should be, a fair, impartial, objective judge where we can present our case, our factual presentation, our legal analysis. We believe we'll win. So it depends on what Mr. Trump does, but we believe we will successfully prevent him from illegal activity once again, just like my office did between 2016 and 2020. My message today was very specific in what it included a very clear acknowledgement of the need to lower costs. I think I talked about groceries and gas, housing, healthcare. I am very well aware that Californians are struggling with the high cost of living in California. And as a leader and other Democratic leaders, we are working hard to lower those costs. I said that in my statement today. I talked about housing generally as well. And public safety. So that is our bread and butter. That is what we do. We will continue to move forward on our affirmative agenda to lower the cost of living for Californians, to build more housing, to address homelessness, to make our streets safer from fentanyl and human trafficking and hate crimes and gun violence. We do it all. We walk and chew gum at the same time. And we will defend California from the attacks from the Trump administration that get in the way of our ongoing progress. So I think I had a very inclusive vision that today that I presented that includes exactly the things that you've stated.
Switching gears, can you comment on Prop 36 passing and how that impacts the DOJ?
Prop 36 passed. Prop 36 was anticipated to pass. There is no surprise in its passage. Prop 36, the people who voted for Prop 36 share my view of being fed up and angry about retail crime and about fentanyl harming our communities, our families, our people, and wanted action. And they expressed that anger, frustration, and desire for action through their support for Prop 36. The legislature, as you know, also passed a suite of very important bills that I supported, and I believe are very strong contributions to addressing organized retail crime. And they did that before the voters voted on Prop 36. There could be some tension and even some conflict between those suite of laws and Prop 36. So now, as the DOJ, you asked what our role will be. We will be preparing a legal bulletin providing guidance on what laws govern, what law enforcement should understand their role to be with respect to enforcing those laws when it comes to Prop 36, its implementation, and the legislative suite of bills that also cover some of the same ground as Prop 36. I mean, we're here in iconic San Francisco. We have a backdrop of the Golden Gate, known around the world, associated with the strength and power, the exceptionalism of California. Today's about California, our ongoing pursuit of progress, our commitment to moving forward. And so I think this is a very beloved and well-known California location. So I wanted to be here.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your time. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to our office.
Thank you. Thank you.